All right. Hello. Keep an eye out in case anyone joins us today live. If not, thank you for watching the recording. Um, this is a show all about developer experience and very pragmatically about trying out new things and seeing what the experience is like and using something I haven't used before. So, with that all said, I'm gonna go through a couple of things, and then we can get started with skeleton UI. That is what I'm going to be looking at today. So let's go. So, by way of introduction, my name is Jason. I do work in a developer experience space. And as part of that, I do like to try new things out, whether it's a new SaaS product, a new library, just to see how useful it is and how I might be able to use it on a new project. So, with all that in mind, there's a couple of things I want to point out in terms of a code of conduct. Please be kind. It's just a good life rule. Just try not to be a jerk. Whether you comment live because you see something and you see me doing something that seems silly, that's okay. You can point it out. Just do it so kindly, right? Likewise, I may be reviewing something that people worked really hard on, whether to make the developer experience what it is. Maybe there are some shortcomings that happens. I'm not really here to criticize. I'm here to look for opportunities where maybe something could be better. Or where I struggled, right? Someone else might come in with a different background and just be able to use it right off the bat. Someone might come in with yet another different background and struggle even more than I do. So there are all kinds of different people trying to make something cool and interesting on whatever that inspires the project you're working on. So just wanted to kind of say again, be kind, please, and keep that kind of growth mindset because this is hard work and there are a lot of products, a lot of things. You can't be an expert in everything. So regardless of how much seniority you have, there's probably something you've just never done, right? And so you are basically a newbie in those areas. So I do like to kind of go through some concepts around developer experience, and maybe that is something I'll look for while I'm actually looking at a particular product or new library. And I kind of wanted to call this one out. Sean puts out a lot of really good content, so I do recommend go and follow him and see. And this comes from a podcast that he had done, was this idea of radiating circles of developer experience, and I think it is a good mindset to have. Sometimes I've been faced with documentation challenges, and it's like, well, if the product at its core, whether it's a user interface or library or something like that, if the design is really well done, the product in and of itself would be the core, right? Like, I mean, if it's intuitive, I don't need to read the documentation, and that is the ideal scenario. But typically, the documentations kind of extend because even a really well designed product may have areas where it's just confusing, or you need to have some basic knowledge. And if you don't have that basic knowledge, you get confused. Or if you do have all of that knowledge, then some of the basics get in your way, right? So it's that expert versus new user. So coming up with one product to meet all those different user styles can be very challenging. So Docs tries to extend that, but then it gets into content, and so maybe. A blog post, a tutorial, other types of content beyond the documentation or API reference can really extend the documentation in new ways and can be more precise. So, very a lot of the development I've been doing lately has been in Svelte. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but a lot of times if I'm using a particular product, now I'm not looking just for the docs. I'm looking for the intersection of docs with the tool set I happen to be using, and that's where I think great content plays in that space and kind of radiates outward. And then likewise, community, becomes other types of content, whether it's um, videos and so on, right? But it's about other people that are struggling, or succeeding. I shouldn't, assume struggling, but looking for information about how to solve a particular problem. And I think that's kind of inspires what I'm looking at here. Also, on the community side, is I am looking at different libraries. I have a particular problem to solve. I don't have a product designed for, just already pre-decided for everything I need to do, and that is the spirit of uh, some of the projects I've been working on lately. It has been actually to do a little bit more of a wider search, not just using a particular library or particular framework just because I happen to use it on the last project. So that's why I say it's like I have decided to use Svelte as a framework because I am building a web application, but that wasn't a foregone conclusion. That was after going and deciding, hey, I've used React on a lot of projects. I'm not going to continue using React. I'm going to go and evaluate some others and maybe use that as an opportunity to learn something new. So, all that said, what this show is all about, I'm going to go full screen and start diving into the topic of the day. But I shoot for 3:30 Pacific. Um, Sometimes I have other commitments, so I can't do it. I had been sending this out. Actually, I can update the slide to both Twitch and YouTube. I've kind of cut out Twitch, but it seems the audience there is a little bit different than what I'm doing. Uh, uh, I, I'm not going to go into that. Anyways, there is a website, and by website I mean more or less a text file. But if you go to developerxp.com, you can find a little bit more detail about some of the libraries and tools that I am looking to use next. So, with that all in mind, I am going to exit out of this and pull up a browser because that's where I'm, and my ID because that's where I'm going to be focusing my attention today. So, I where this topic comes in, skeleton UI. Um, uh, I was looking for different component libraries that might just accelerate. Maybe I end up building my own components in many cases, but in some places, it makes sense to me to use a well-designed component that already handles a lot of the normal things an end user would expect. Yeah, I can go in and make sure that active state and all sorts of things could be done and customized. But in many cases, I don't want to defy expectations. I just want something that someone has seen very clearly and knows how it works from a widget perspective because it's been on like dozens of other websites. So, anyways, one of the ones that had come up in a list I found from strangers on the internet was Skeleton or Skeleton UI. I don't know anything about it. So that's what I'm here to look for. So presumably this is not this is probably more on the open source library side of the spectrum through, but I don't know. I don't know what to expect actually on this one. I have looked at a few other UI kits and so on in other shows. You can subscribe to the channel, go look for them if you're interested as well. But one of my requirements constraints here was Svelte with Tailwind was the framework I needed to use. So this appears to be the one that came up. So let's see. It's nice that there's a website. It's not just a GitHub project with a README. Because I do kind of want to see, hey, what is the user experience like right off the bat. So adaptive, accessible interfaces for web apps of any shape or size, designed for Svelte and Svelte Kit. Components, stores, actions, and more. Right. So I mean that's an appealing element. Is if the components fit more naturally with some of the others, or some of the other ways of thinking here. Okay, I guess this is maybe components, actions. I don't utilities. Okay. Let's maybe. I guess. What am I curious here? Okay. That's kind of fun. I guess I can retheme the whole thing. Maybe that's a way of demonstrating that the components can be made very flexible. I don't know. I'm usually a vintage kind of person. All right, I'm going to stop messing around with that. Um, this is a good choice, right? You get to see some of the interactions right here, right off the bat. Oops. Okay. Okay. Um, and then Stack Blitz, which is nice since that does match a lot of the Svelte libraries themselves. Let's see what else we got here. Um, I guess this is just another example. I think the lorem ipsum basically confused me at first. I wasn't sure where it was going, but enhance with Tailwind. I think this is also relatively important that it's easy to go beyond the out of the box components, right? Like I don't really want to have to design a text field, but maybe a more complex card, I do want to maybe change some elements of it for design reasons. So, okay, that's fine. Theme colors, elements, common UI elements, dark mode, of course, adaptive theming. That's an interesting, I mean, I was playing with the theme quite a bit here. I mean, I think it's important that the UI kit has the ability to be themed. Um, I don't know if I would need to give end users that level of customization. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm undecided in terms of risk reward in that regard. Okay, but amazing developer experience, accessibility, extensibility. Um, okay, well, this is good to know, right? Guys, I mean, I could use Tailwind UI or Flowbyte if depending on budget and things like that. TypeScript integrations, icon agnostic, quite a bit of adoption. Thank you, fine folks who work and contribute to this library. Um, it's always nice to see a community behind something as well. Um, MIT license, yeah, I guess that's maybe one of the things. So, okay, so I'm jumping over to the docs a little bit. There are some videos. I'm not going to play them. It might make sense if I'm learning a UI kit. I might be a little bit more compelled to watch a video as opposed to just reading text, just to see how someone else uses it and some of maybe demonstration of edge cases and that sort of thing. But let me actually, I'm just kind of curious. Is this where I ended up here? Yeah, it is. Okay. And then what are so this is Tailwinds, Svelte utilities. But this is fundamentally how I have approached UI kits, as wanting basically this playground where I can go and look through and be like, yep, this is what I want. You call it chips, or whatever the case may be. Um, well, chip badge. And this element too, right, where can find variance. That's kind of nice. Okay. And then lists, ordered list, description list, navigation list. I think one of the things I haven't figured out when it comes to this and UI kits, I started another series, which was like kind of architectural decision making. Once I've evaluated a few, maybe it's at least three, it becomes, well, how do I choose between them, right? Like, what should I be looking for? I think, you know, a good conventional wisdom is go build something and see how far you get. Um, might be part of it. But it is those edge cases, right, where it's suddenly, oh, because of a design decision and how it works, if you need to be able to do this 6 months from now, that's where you're going to run into issues. I don't know. Um, I'm not necessarily, the best front end dev. That's also why I'm looking for UI kits. I don't intend to actually be doing anything particularly innovative from a UI standpoint. Um, I just kind of want to be able to pick things off the shelf as much as I can and just reuse them and then build only what I have to. Um, but let's go back to the docs for a few moments and see what I can find out. Tailwind's utility classes and design system. Svelte's component architecture. I don't know what these mean, but um, um, this might be interesting. So let me read it out loud. Sorry if that's annoying, but seamless user experience, um, conform to aesthetic of the application, da, 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 powerful components, um, uh, accessibility. Yep. So, I mean, it's open source project. They're not selling these components created by the community for the community. Um, yeah, it seems like it's really emphasizing accessibility as a key um, goal of the project, which I mean is a good thing. Community owned theme system design tokens release cycle. So, I mean, I guess one way of evaluating would be for me to go through and just go through all of the different things and then figure out, you know, um, which of these I I absolutely require. I mean, in an ideal world, I'm building an application that I have all the, a complete PRD with all the requirements defined very clearly for the product. I'm not there. I do expect a certain amount of experimentation and change. So therefore, I think I'm leaning a little bit more toward flexibility in what I'm looking for, as opposed to being able to just verify, I need a table. Do you do tables? Great, we're done. Um, so I think here maybe I'm looking for breadth. Um, Maybe one other requirement I could say in what I'm looking for a UI kit is, um, I don't know how best to describe it, but like kind of a graph like widget. Um, so I was thinking about it from this, like, like a tree view is what I'm looking for, um, but nodes that can be added and have connective lines, basically, is a thing that I want in my end application, not just a tree, but more of a graph, if that makes sense, or a map or something like that. So I'm just kind of scrolling through here to see whether it already has one, because I might suggest that in and of itself might be something for me to choose one UI kit over another, because I do know that is something I want to build. I haven't gone out looking specifically for that. I think I just, kind of again noted a bunch of different UI libraries, UI, UX kits like this, and did that. But um, anyways, let's just run through the quick start and see how it goes. If I run into problems, it's community open source. I should report what the problems are and help fix it for the next person. So, anyways, let's come over here. I'm gonna make it. All right. I'm gonna follow pretty much faithfully here. When evaluating any new technology, I'm not actually gonna just convert my work in progress over quite off the bat. I want to build a prototype first. I don't know how other people approach it. So like if you were working on a Svelte application, do you just say I'm going to use skeleton, done, move on from day one, or just convert your project over, or whether you do go off and build a little bit more prototype. That's just the way I've always done it. But let's scaffold our project using skeleton CLI. Hmm. So I might diverge here. Actually, I said I was going to try to do that faithfully, but taking this, it is interesting, copy here, but obviously there's some comments and things. But do I want skeleton app latest, or do I want to start with this felt pure and then add other things? I guess if I'm just, yeah, all right, let's just go ahead and do this. Um, see what I get. All right. Bare bones, a blank slate, or an app starter with app shell and app bar. App shell and app bar. Do I know what those are? I'm not sure I do. What are app? I'm sorry. Am I being silly? Okay, here's app bar. All right. Okay, so I guess it's like the title, and then app shell, header, slot, sidebar, left, page footer. Okay, got it. That it wasn't hard to figure out. It just kind of threw me as like, wait, should I know what these terms mean, or are they components? Just because I hadn't noticed them yet. That's fine with me. Select a theme. That's fine with me. Just go skeleton. Other packages, Tailwind, forms, type code block, floating UI. So these are some others I'm not particularly familiar with in this world, or I haven't been in, maybe keeping up to speed on a few technologies here. I don't know that I need any of these yet, so I'll go ahead and skip. Type checking with TypeScript, yes. Okay, so now this feels more like the Svelte kit starting like normal. Okay. I can go here and then run dev. That's what the quick start says to do too, right? Yeah. Oops. Wait, what happened? Did I run? Oh, I thought I did an npm install, but maybe not. Okay, so we have some stuff to customize. Okay. Where's it going to take me next? So everything there is fine. And then when I look here, what is it giving me? Is it more or less the latest Svelte kit app? It appears to be. But it does have a layout, so maybe that is one of the differences. This is already added the layout. It's added to CSS and configured Tailwind. So all of that is done for me already, which is actually convenient. I found myself, testing a lot of things and doing those over and over again. Um, so it's nice that that's already taken care of. What else should I look for here? Is there anything else interesting in terms of dependencies that I'm not recognizing? So we've got these two things. Okay. Everything else looks pretty typical. Okay. I guess that's all fine with me. Um, let's see. By selecting welcome, add sidebar navigation. Open the layout, which I had. There we are. Okay, so I see we got the header, and then that's bringing in the app bar component, just a normal import like that. Okay. And then so I guess it's a configuration change here to the app shell, just to see what this feels like. I might need to, let's do a side by side here, just so I can see. Okay. And then I pass this into, so this is the app bar. Do I put it after the app bar? Did it say I wasn't within the app shell's left sidebar slot? Oh, wait, is there already a, I guess it probably, if it's a slot, it really doesn't matter, right? Okay. Wait a second, though. Am I not getting updates? Or did I miss a step here? I'm editing layout, my skeleton app. Well, let's reopen it just out of curiosity. So where's, um, let's come over here for a second. Okay. So it's loading. That's all good. But when I went, let's go back to this layout here, Sen. So maybe sidebar. Oh, I put it in the app bar. Really, I needed it in the shell. That was the issue, right? There we go. So that was me. I just put it in the wrong component. Okay. And then some basic content to the home page. Let's see what this does then. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. There's already some style here. I mean, this is also a design decision. I haven't necessarily made myself yet whether, I like having CSS in the components or elsewhere. I mean, it's good scoping and Svelte handles it. So this is a perfectly fine pattern. So this is saying replace all of the contents. I guess I could. Okay. But yeah, now this is really, I think the proof point is adding the component, the avatar. Um, well, within the container element, which container? Okay, this one. Got it. Okay. And then, I mean, presumably I could use my own image here, putting something in static and loading it. And let's just go ahead and, maybe we do that. Um, uh, let's just, um, so there we go. Okay. So this is maybe an interesting case. So I gotta maybe, what if I want to change the look of that? So let's go ahead through that sort of approach and just sort of customize this a little bit more. So if I go, I've got the avatar. I guess one of the things I am sort of surprised by here, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of, um, I mean, there's a lot more svelte components. So maybe it's the split between looking at this versus the other. Um, so I could do rounded full, rounded 3XL. Let's just see what happens. So if I come over here, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So takes the source with rounded. So the component takes a class. See, my first instinct was going to be that it was something like class equals rounded 3XL and do sort of tailwind style. Wonder what happens if I do that. So it still seems to work, right? But this is suggesting it should be rounded. Seems to be the same. Okay. Could do initials, interactive border. What about like transparency or styles? Maybe that's where I should check. So I thought I was using a ping, so or a PNG here. So might just have to figure out why. But on click, on key down, the sorts of things I could respond to. If I want to send So let's do the. mm, Okay. Sorry, I know I'm not talking too much here. Um, I mean, I'd be interested in seeing more examples of what I can do with some of the components. I think that, so if you think about the rating levels of DX, I think the documentation here I'm seeing is pretty good. Um, but as the community grows, that's the opportunity for more content. I could go out and look and see what else people are doing to extend it on their own projects. That could be interesting to know, as well as whether or not they have an opportunity to find some examples of saying like, hey, if I go and use skeleton UI on one of my websites to just let the community know, hey, go check it out. Here's what I've customized. Here's what I've learned. That could be a good thing. Okay, I think I get the idea. I mean, I had a good successful quick start here. Um, and it is scoped to just Svelte kit, which is what I'm interested in anyway, so it's fine with me. Um, and it does seem that the theming and coloring does seem to be a big part of the story here. But there are some important features. So, drawers is something else I'll need. Pop up and toast, those sorts of things all make sense. The UI, again, I'm not a designer, so I don't have a whole lot of critique here. As long as it's, you know, functionally and aesthetically meets some minimum level, I'm happy. Um, okay. Well, that was, maybe I talked a little bit too much here, but generally, the quick start, I got up and running pretty quick. I got a first component. I was able to customize it to a certain extent. Um, there's more to do there, but as I experiment a little bit more and try to build maybe a more fleshed out UI. So, but that'll come later. You subscribe to see updates and things like that as I will. The purpose of some of these live streams are for me as I'm learning this new tool, and to get the recordings. So in the future, you will be able to look for the the shorter version of just the facts, maybe that 5 minute getting started type of playback, but also some of the edge cases and other things I learn after more experimentation, or the evaluation I end up doing when looking at multiple UI kits, to pit them against each other and see which ones are able to accomplish my project's goals. That's not to say that any of them are good or bad. It just one might be a better fit than another, depending on a given project. So um, I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching a recording. If you have any suggestions, hey, reach out. And with that, thank you. And I have another show tomorrow. I am actually looking at another SaaS project. I think tomorrow's Launch Darkly. So you can find that up on the channel as well. All right. Well, anyways, thanks. Have a good day.